Welcome to Pankinen Financial Perspective with Ashton Pankinen from Pankinen Financial Group. Planning for your financial future means navigating challenges like market volatility, inflation, and retirement income. Pankinen Financial Perspective is here to help by addressing common financial concerns, sharing valuable strategies, and exploring ways you can work toward your financial goals. Now let's get started with Pankinen Financial Perspective.
Hello and welcome to the Pankinen Financial Perspective. My name is Ashton Pankinen from Pankinen Financial Group. If you'd like more information about what you hear during our show today, give us a call at 952-873-2703 or visit us online at pankinenfinancial.com. And while at my website, click on the radio page to check out past shows and to subscribe to our program on Apple Podcast, Spotify, or Amazon Music. Also, while at my website, click the link at the top to get the latest retirement guide. When it comes to preparing for retirement, Social Security is one of the most important parts of your overall strategy, regardless of your savings or other income sources. In addition to working with a financial service professional, there are some steps you can take to better ensure you're getting everything you can out of Social Security, a program that you've paid into since you've earned your first paycheck. To begin the show, we're going to share insights from a USA Today article. The headline, "Are you ready to collect Social Security? 3 signs it might be time." But before we dive into today's topic, let me introduce my co-host, Tony Shore, who's in a good mood because baseball spring training has arrived, and that means summer is just around the corner.
Yeah, it is just around the corner, and that does excite me. I am looking forward to it, Ashton.
For sure.
Yeah, I can't wait for spring. Obviously, here in Minnesota, we're all excited about spring. I saw a temp Sunday, it could hit 60, they said.
Wow.
We'll see if that happens. That's a ways off. Usually, we'll see if their predictions.
They don't know what's going to happen today, much less 4 days from now.
Right. Right. That poor weatherman. We all give him a hard time, but sometimes it's deserved. We'll see. We'll see, or weather person, I should say.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, I'm looking forward to warmer temps. But March is still usually the snowiest month. So how about you, though? What have you been doing?
Things have been good here. I just got back from a conference in San Diego just to do some due diligence on some different money managers and I'm trying to constantly go to these different conferences just to stay up on different tactics and opportunities for clients. And yeah, I just got back from that here last week, and it was a good conference, learned a lot, and looking forward to applying some of the things I learned for the clients I have.
Yeah, there you go. And that's awesome. Yeah, it's always good to go to those. And I know you and other top financial minds from around the country get together and help each other out, talk to each other about what's going on. And there's a lot going on out there, isn't there?
For sure. Yeah, there always is.
Yeah, I people panic when they see the markets yesterday took a bit of a dip as of the recording of the show. But don't panic. Don't let your emotions dictate your finances. Contact Ashton and some of the things you can help. That's what you do. You help people out and come up with a plan so they don't have to worry when there's market volatility, right?
Exactly.
Yep. Well, you know what, Ashton, I'm always excited when we're talking about Social Security and Social Security strategies on the show because it's one of our more popular topics. I know you get a lot of calls and questions about this, and it's an essential part of retirement for countless Americans. So let's get into that first sign. What's the first indicator that somebody might be ready to file for Social Security?
Yeah, the first sign is simple in theory, but powerful in practice. You know what your retirement spending needs look like.
Right. And that sounds straightforward, but it probably isn't for a lot of people, is it?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Because Social Security filing age determines how much you'll receive each month, you can't really make that decision in isolation. You need some context to that. You need to know what your monthly spending needs actually are. And so if you don't run the numbers and you don't know what retirement will realistically cost you, it's very difficult to know whether claiming now makes sense.
Yeah. So it starts with a retirement budget is what you're saying.
It does. Not just a rough estimate, a mapped out retirement budget that accounts for your essential costs, including things like housing, food, and healthcare, but also things you want to do with your time, because retirement isn't just about covering the basics. It's about living. When you retire, you suddenly have more time, and filling that time often comes with expenses, whether that's travel, hobbies, social activities, maybe helping the family, or maybe pursuing something you've always wanted to try. Those things matter, and many of them cost money. So it's important to be realistic about what your financial needs in retirement are. If your budget includes shelter and food and healthcare, but doesn't reflect how you'll actually want to live, you may be underestimating what you actually need in retirement.
Yeah, and that's a problem. So if somebody has truly mapped this out with both essentials and lifestyle, that's going to give them a clearer lens for when to claim, right?
Yeah, exactly, Tony. If you run the numbers and your retirement budget supports filing now, meaning your projected Social Security benefit aligns with your spending needs, that's a strong sign you may be ready. It shows you're making that proactive decision, not just an emotional one.
Well, that feels like the difference between reacting and actually planning.
Exactly. When I work with clients, we don't just start with what age should you claim. We start with what does your retirement actually look like? What are your goals? What are you aspiring to do in retirement? And then once we see how Social Security fits into that broader income strategy, the filing decision becomes much clearer.
So this first sign really comes down to clarity. If you know what you need or what you're going to need, that's a big green light.
It is. And because the more clarity you have about your spending, the more confident you can be about when to turn on that Social Security income.
So that makes a lot of sense that you've mapped out your spending. You understand what your retirement will realistically cost. So what's the next sign that it might be time to file?
Sign number 2 is this. You've assessed your savings to figure out how much income they'll actually provide.
Well, and I have a feeling that's where a lot of people get tripped up, isn't it?
Yeah, they do. Many people focus heavily on building a large balance in their IRA or 401k, and understandably so, because watching that number grow over time feels like progress. But sometimes people get so caught up in the total balance, they don't stop to ask the very important question, what will this actually translate into in income? Because in retirement, it's not about your account balance in your 401k, it's about the income that balance can generate.
Yeah, so to me, that's shifting from the how much do I have to what does this pay me every month?
Well said, Tony. If you've taken the time to calculate how much annually or monthly income your savings can reasonably provide, you're in a much stronger position to decide when to claim that Social Security, because then you can see how Social Security fits into that bigger picture. Let's use a simple example. Let's say based on your 401k balance, you can expect to generate about $4,000 per month in retirement income. And let's say your target is $6,000 per month to maintain that desired lifestyle.
That's a $2,000 gap right there.
Indeed, it is. And so now if you're eligible for $2,000 a month in Social Security at full retirement age, you've reached that age, that lines up almost perfectly with your goal. So in that scenario, you could feel confident filing for benefits right away.
Yeah, because your savings plus Social Security equals that target income then.
Yeah, bingo there, Tony. And we talk a lot about that 3-legged stool. And so again, Social Security makes up a big leg of that stool, personal savings and then pensions. And so again, if we can get all those to total up to what you need on a monthly basis, it's a good time to file. But you could also delay filing to increase that Social Security income benefit. That option does exist. But again, if that $2,000 per month gives you the spending power you're looking for and it completes your retirement income plan, there's no need to force yourself to wait simply because you heard waiting is always better. The right decision depends on your own numbers and customized plan.
Yeah, and I like that. I'm glad you clarified that because I think this is the big mistake people make with Social Security. It's everybody's situation is different. Yeah. You can't just file at the same time your coworker did or neighbor or family member did. Like you said, the right decision is going to depend on what your personal situation and numbers say. And that comes back to coordination. I mean, Social Security isn't separate from your savings. It needs to work alongside it, right?
Yeah, that's a great way to look at it. When you understand what your savings can realistically provide as far as income and not just what the balance looks like, you can evaluate whether Social Security benefits fill the remaining gap. And when those pieces align, it's a strong sign you may be ready to claim.
Yeah. And, you've covered a lot already. So far, you've talked about knowing your spending needs and also understanding how your savings can translate into income. That's huge. And before we keep going, though, with this conversation, let's take a moment here, Ashton, to let people know how they can schedule a complimentary consultation to ask questions or get more information.
Yeah, again, if you need help trying to figure out if that income is going to be enough for you, just give our office a call, 952-873-2703. Again, that number is 952-873-2703, or visit us online at pankininfinancial.com. That's PANKONIN financial.com. Scheduling a consultation only takes a few minutes, and we're always happy to work around your schedule.
Well, thanks for that, Ashton. And I know you love hearing from our listeners out there. Listeners, pick up the phone, give Ashton a call. That's so important. Now, what's the third sign that it might be time to file for Social Security?
Yeah, sign number 3 is especially important for married couples. You need to understand how filing age might impact your spouse financially.
So now you're widening the lens beyond just one person's retirement.
Bullseye there, Tony. Claiming Social Security can be more straightforward for someone who is single, but when you're married, the decision affects more than just your own monthly benefit. So it's important to assess your spouse's financial needs as well as your own.
And there's also that survivor component to think about too, right?
Yeah, there is. If you expect your spouse to outlive you, the amount of Social Security you collect each month can determine what the survivor benefit is that they receive. And so it's a significant factor. Statistically, the male is going to go first. And so we always, kind of think about that. And so a lot of times there's a strategy where we file early for the wife, I guess, at 62 and maybe wait as long as we can on the husband, just because, again, we're trying to maximize that lifetime benefit because, again, we're going to be able to collect one Social Security as long as one of us is alive, and it's the higher amount. And so, again, waiting until 70 for that male or higher earner can be a significant factor. So your filing age just doesn't impact your income while you're both living. It can also affect the financial stability of your surviving spouse down the road.
Right, because you're going to lose one of the two. You do lose the lower. You get to keep the higher of the two. But if you both file early, you might be leaving your spouse in a bad situation then. Correct, so it makes this decision feel even more weighty and more important that you do make the right decision on when to file.
Yeah, it does. And, that's why it's not something you want to rush into. Again, just because somebody at work says, hey, I'm filing at 62 doesn't mean that's the right decision for you. And if you've already thought that through and understand how your filing age may impact your spouse's finances, and you've incorporated that into your broader strategy, then that's another strong sign you may be ready to take those benefits.
It seems the theme across everything you've talked about so far today comes down to preparation and awareness.
I think that's right. Claiming Social Security is a major milestone. It's not a decision to make casually or impulsively. But if you've mapped out your retirement spending needs and you've calculated how much income your savings will provide, and then also considered how your filing age could affect your spouse, you can feel confident filing for benefits, knowing you've run the numbers and evaluated that broader impact.
Right. And I think it's so important to take all of these things into consideration. I mean, each one of these points you've talked about is critical. And I know you have another timely Social Security topic for us, though, today. What's that all about?
Yeah, so we're going to take a look here at another USA Today article. This one's headlined 3 Steps to Max Out Your Social Security Benefits in 2026. It pairs nicely with what we've already been chatting about today. The first big takeaway is that maximum Social Security check has never looked better than it does in 2026.
Yeah, and the amount can go up, and the number you get, the amount you're going to get for Social Security is unique to you. Those numbers are definitely attention grabbing, though, this year.
Yeah, it can be. And, the highest earning beneficiaries are now receiving as much as $5,251 per month. That's more than $63,000 per year. And those benefits don't stay static. They grow over time thanks to cost of living adjustments or COLAs.
Yeah, that's a significant annual income stream, especially when you consider it's a guaranteed monthly income.
It is. And, and when people hear numbers like that, it naturally leads to the questions, could I qualify for that? And now if you want to join that elite group, there are 3 boxes you need to check before you apply. And here's something else that's very important. It just doesn't happen by accident. You have to put in real work over the course of your career to pull it off.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, very few are going to actually get that full amount. And to do it, that's not a last minute filing strategy, is it?
No, not at all. This is about long-term planning, long-term earnings, and understanding how the system calculates your benefit. And what I always tell people is that while not everyone will qualify for the maximum benefit, understanding how it works can help you maximize your own benefit.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you want to get as close to it as you can. So what's the first step to maxing out Social Security?
Well, the Social Security Administration calculates your retirement benefit based on your 35 highest earning years adjusted for inflation. And that's an important detail. If you apply for your benefits before you've accumulated 35 years in the workforce, your benefit calculation will include 0 income years, and those zeros can significantly reduce your monthly check.
Yeah. So basically what you're saying is if someone only works, say, 30 years, those missing 5 years would count as zeros in the formula.
Yeah, that's right, Tony. Those 0 income years bring down your average, which brings down your benefit. So ultimately, one of the foundational steps to maximizing your Social Security benefit is simply working at least 35 years.
Sure. Yeah. And it's not like working less is going to keep you from getting your Social Security check. Correct. You'll still get Social Security. It's just based on you'll just get a lot less. So what about working longer? Is there a cap on that?
No, there's no downside to working more than 35 years. In fact, your most recent years are probably your higher earning years that can replace those earlier low income years in your calculation. And so that can actually increase your benefit because, again, you've got some of those low income falling off and you're adding those high income ones. And if your income has grown over time, which is often the case, continuing to work can strengthen your Social Security record.
Yeah. So the first step is really about building a strong earnings history over time.
I agree. Social Security is based on your lifetime earnings record. The stronger those 35 years are, the stronger your monthly benefit might be. And if someone is serious about maxing their benefit and understanding how those 35 years are calculated is very essential.
Right. So step 1 was working for at least 35 years. What's step 2 if somebody truly wants to max out their benefit?
Step number 2 is where things become a little more difficult for most people. You must pay that maximum Social Security taxes in all 35 of your highest earning years to receive the largest possible check.
So it's not just working all 35 years, it's earning at a certain level during all of those years.
Yeah, you're right again there, Tony. In 2026, that means earning at least $184,500 from your job. That's the income level that's subject to Social Security taxes for the year. In previous years, the limit was lower. That typically rises for inflation, adjusts for inflation every year. And so again, to qualify for the maximum benefit, your earnings in each of those years, those 35 years, would need to meet or exceed the taxable maximum for those years.
Yeah. And that's a very high bar and probably the reason most people don't qualify for the absolute maximum benefit.
Yeah. And this step prevents most individuals from receiving that largest possible Social Security check. Not everyone earns at that level consistently for 35 years. And that's okay, Tony. The important takeaway isn't necessarily that everyone can reach the maximum benefit. It's that your income level directly impacts your future Social Security benefit. While you might not earn enough to qualify for that maximum benefit, you can still take steps to increase your future benefit by increasing your income. Maybe that's working overtime, securing a raise, or pushing for a higher paying job. Always are ways that could strengthen your earnings. And in turn, then I guess it would increase your Social Security benefit down the road. Social Security isn't random. It is formula based. The more you earn up to the taxable maximum, the longer you earn at that level, the stronger your potential benefit. And again, understanding that connection helps you make informed decisions about your career and income strategy along the way.
What's the final step to max out your benefit this year?
Yeah, step number 3 is about timing. You can claim Social Security as early as age 62, but if you want the largest possible monthly checks, you must wait until age 70.
And that's because of delayed retirement credits, right? Or the increase, it rolls up every year you wait to file, right?
Yeah, that's right. Roughly 8% every year you wait. So every month you delay your application increases that benefit a little. And that increase compounds over time up until age 70. So from a purely mathematical standpoint, waiting till 70 produces the largest possible monthly check.
Right. But that doesn't automatically mean 70. Waiting until 70 is right for everybody, is it?
Again, yeah, that's an important point. While many people receive their largest lifetime benefit applying at age 70, it's not a universal strategy. If someone has a shorter life expectancy, or if they don't have other retirement income sources to cover expenses, while they wait, claiming early may make more sense. Again, it looks at personal circumstances. A lot of times we look at cash flow. And for cash flow reasons, again, if we can cover the basic monthly expenses and leave your savings alone, maybe it makes sense to draw at 65 instead of 70 or at 67. Or again, we've got a strategy where a lot of times we'll have one spouse file at 62 and the other one wait to file as long as they can at 68 or 70.
Sure. And even with that maximum benefit, there's still nuance, isn't there?
There always is. And here's another important point. Even if you don't qualify for the absolute maximum Social Security benefit, you can still take steps to increase your benefit. You can work to increase your income, build a strong 35-year earnings record, and carefully time your application based on your financial situation and your life expectancy. And just as importantly, you should save as much as you can in your own personal savings, retirement, to supplement your benefits.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Definitely. I mean, Social Security isn't meant to cover all your expenses in retirement. That's for sure.
No.
But it is the foundation. And in the end, it is a part of the strategy. It's just not the entire strategy.
Yeah. Again, Social Security is that foundational piece of retirement income for many people. It does work best when it's coordinated with your personal savings and overall financial strategy.
Yeah, and working with somebody like yourself is hugely important here. And after covering everything we talked about today, including spending needs, savings income, spousal impact, maximizing your benefits, it really highlights to me how layered this decision is. This isn't something most people want to navigate alone.
No, it's not. It's an excellent point there, Tony. Social Security decisions don't happen in a vacuum. They connect to your retirement budget, your savings strategy, your spouse's financial security, and even your long-term income planning.
Yeah. Yeah. It all has to tie together. So working with somebody like yourself, Ashton, a financial services professional, can help bring all of those moving parts together.
Yeah. Again, a financial professional can help you evaluate your projected benefits, review your income sources, and map out how different filing ages may impact your overall retirement picture. It's not just about telling someone how to file early or wait. It's about aligning the decisions with broader goals. One of the ways you can check on what your benefits are going to be if you don't get the statement in the mail is you can log into ssa.gov. And then if you don't have an account, create an account there. Again, that's SSA, Social Security Administration there. And again, you log in and you can see what those benefits are. And then a lot of times I have clients bring in that statement and we plug it into our calculator, which runs a bunch of different scenarios that we can see how to maximize that Social Security. Again, that doesn't mean that's the option we're going to choose, but at least we know what the maximized age to take that benefit would be, but it might not make sense for cash flow to wait that long. Sometimes we take it sooner than that maximized time.
Right. And I was going to bring that up, and really that should be the call to action for our listeners out there today. Have that Social Security maximization report run, and you run that report for folks, and you'll run it for our listeners if they come in and schedule that no charge, no obligation consultation. There's no charge to have that report run. Find out when your sweet spot is. There's over 20,000 calculations that report runs to find your sweet spot, and also take into consideration spousal benefits and survivor benefits. Have that run to see when your time is, because the amount changes every single month. It's not even just a year. It could be a year and 2 months. So it might be 62 and 6 months. It might be waiting all the way up till 70. It might be somewhere in between. Your situation is unique. Have the report run and know, instead of guessing, then you're making an informed choice, right?
Yeah, exactly. And, the number of people I've sat down with, Tony, where, they might be 63, 64. And I'm like, hey, you should have filed at 62. And they haven't filed yet.
Yeah.
Again, based on maximizing and, maybe
Sure.
one spouse is older than the other one. And so, more than likely the right decision was to file at 62, or again, you can't go back in time and file at 62. So maybe it makes sense to turn on income now. And then all of a sudden they're like, whoa, with that extra cash flow, I could retire.
Yeah.
And so again, it's sometimes it's a nice surprise. Again, some people think they have to go till 67, that full retirement age for most people now. If you're born after 1960, that is the full retirement age. But again, it's not always the scenario that's going to fit for your retirement plan to wait that long.
Right.
You might be better off to go a different route and possibly even retire earlier than anticipated.
Right. And that can be a scenario depending on your situation. Or a lot of people make a mistake by filing as soon as they can at 62, and they lock in that lower amount when they really should have waited. So it can go either way, depending on you. Again, I think that's huge. We've had a great conversation today. We've talked about, looking at Social Security, evaluating the numbers and the trade-offs. I think this is so important. It really ties into your overall strategy. And this is what you do, right, Ashton?
Yeah, this is what I do. And again, two things before we're getting close to the end of the show here that I wanted to touch on. And again, biggest thing is if you haven't filed yet, give me a call before you file to make sure you're making the right decision. Don't base it on what Billy at work said or, whoever it is. Make sure you sit down with a professional who can calculate whether it makes sense for your overall plan. And then two, one of the things I learned at the conference, and it kind of blew me away, is that only 20% of people work with a financial professional or a financial advisor.
Wow.
So there's a lot of opportunity there. I know there's a lot of people out there who have 401ks that they've been contributing to for a long time, and that's going to be their nest egg for retirement, but they're not getting any advice on it because usually you have to call an 800 number for that 401k. So I guess two calls of action is if you haven't filed for Social Security and you're thinking about it, give us a call first. And then again, if you're not getting any advice on that 401k, make sure to give us a call.
Wow, that's great. And so once again, give that phone number where people can call and your website. Ashton.
Yeah. Again, if you have questions about retirement or your financial strategy, visit my website, pankoninfinancial.com. That's PANKONIN financial.com, or give our office a call, 952-873-2703. Again, that number is 952-873-2703. And if it's outside office hours, just leave us a message. We'll give us a call or give you a call when we get back in there. And we'd love to help protect your savings and have you feel confident about the road ahead.
All right. Sounds great. Listeners, thanks for tuning in. That does it for today's episode of the Pankonin Financial Perspective with our host, Ashton Pankonin.
Thank you for joining us for Pankonin Financial Perspective. Don't head into retirement without a plan for both your finances and your health. For more information, contact Ashton Pankonin at Pankonin Financial Group at 952-873-2703 or visit pankoninfinancialgroup.com. Join us again soon for another episode of Pankonin Financial Perspective. Advisory services are offered by Ashton Pankonin LLC DBA Pankonin Financial Group, an investment advisor in the state of Minnesota.
All matters discussed during the show are for informational purposes only. Each individual situation may vary, and the opinions expressed here may not apply to everyone. Materials presented are believed to be from reliable sources, and no representations can be made as to its accuracy. All ideas and information should be discussed in detail with one of our qualified representatives prior to implementation. We are not affiliated with or endorsed by the Social Security Administration, the Federal Medicare Program, or any other government agency. Calling this number will direct you to a licensed sales agent.